conservative groups are doing what they can to ensure that the IRS continues to be underfunded so wealthy people can get away with evading taxes. That is the latest update in regard to Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill, the deal that he has struck with members of the Senate, GOP members of the Senate, who might maybe vote in favor of this version of the infrastructure bill. Now, of course, Republicans don't want to increase taxes on the rich. So as part of the deal, what they would do is agree to some funding for the IRS to kind of, be able to recoup some of the money that was evaded or the taxes that were evaded by wealthy individuals. But looks like various groups, conservative groups specifically, are writing strongly worded letters to GOP lawmakers to make them remember who their daddies are, right? We're the donors. Don't mess with us, do not fund the IRS. Now, among the conservative groups spearheading the opposition are the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, which is a funny name.
It's very leashed, yeah. So they just want to unleash it for the poor billionaires.
Right, Freedom Works, the Conservative Action Project, and the Leadership Institute. They're preparing a letter that warns Republicans should not negotiate with the White House unless they agree to no additional funding for the IRS. Now, the letter is expected to gain the support of 12 other conservative groups because, wealthy people love funding these conservative groups that then lobby Congress to basically keep this system rigged against workers and people who actually do pay their taxes. And also Jason Pai, who is a lobbyist from Freedom Works, says that enforcement of tax laws is one thing, but what people are concerned about is aggressive audits. And by the way, those aggressive audits do take place. It's just that since the IRS is underfunded, the aggressive auditing takes place toward people who don't make much money because their taxes tend to be far more simple and easy to audit. Whereas wealthy people takes a lot more resources because their taxes are super complicated. Now, who else is behind this? This is the important detail here. The groups leading the opposition to the IRS budget increase include those that have received funds from major conservative donors, including the Mercer Family Foundation, the Sarah Scaife Foundation, and Donors Trust. One signatory of the letter, Phil Kerpen of American Commitment, worked for 5 years at Americans for Prosperity, the main political arm of the, of course, influential Koch network. And remember, in the original infrastructure bill, Biden had proposed $80 billion to help fund the IRS so they can do the correct audits of wealthy people and recoup that money that they've been evading in taxes. But in the bipartisan infrastructure deal, they cut that down to $40 billion. So Biden's already made a major concession here. The question is, will he make more concessions as a result of these conservative groups lobbying Republican lawmakers to refuse voting in favor of the bill if it includes the funding for the IRS?
Okay, you know what this is? This is defunding the police. Yeah. It's just the police of tax cheats, wealthy tax cheats. So when it comes to that, the rich all of a sudden turn around and go, we don't need any stinking police to look into our IRS tax forms to see if we cheated or not. No way, defund the police, defund it right away, right? Isn't that amazing? Guys, who do you think is pushing for making sure that the IRS cannot catch more tax cheats? Probably tax cheats, okay? And it's not a surprise that all of those foundations and all of those individuals and groups that are backing this effort are incredibly wealthy. The Mercers got their money on Wall Street, the Koch brothers, the array of companies, etc. So it's like if I was the IRS, and I know you can't do this, etc. And we have that was my IFP that fell out. But look, those groups are clearly the ones that want to make sure they're not audited, right? And so it's like waving this giant red flag. We cheat on our taxes. We don't want the IRS to look into that, right? Now the IRS technically cannot look into it because then that would be going after political groups. Mainstream media drives me nuts. Washington Post had an article about this where they say, now conservatives are also concerned about the IRS looking into conservative groups. There was a controversy about that. And later they found out they were also looking into liberal groups. No, later they found out that the IRS looked into more liberal groups than conservative groups. So the controversy was completely fake. And the reason for the fake controversy was because they wanted to help rich people cheat on their taxes.
That's right.
Right? Mainstream media, are you ever going to tell the truth to the American people? So there's only one reason why they want to defund the IRS. It's because they want to cheat on their taxes. It's the most obvious thing in the world. And so that's who the Republican Party is, infinite greed.
And remember, this effort to underfund or defund the IRS worked under the Obama administration. And so if you take a look at how much the funding for the IRS has been cut, it's a pretty significant amount. So the IRS's enforcement staff declined by 30% between 2010 and 2018, and that's according to the Congressional Budget Office. So again, I mean, what does this do? If you're a worker, if you're an ordinary American and maybe you've been audited, you might think, no, IRS sucks. I don't want to fund that, right? I get it. I understand that. But under this current system of an underfunded IRS, that means that they focus all their resources on auditing people like you and don't have the resources to audit the people who are skirting taxes to the tune of millions of dollars in some cases, right? I mean, there was recent reporting that showed that millionaires and billionaires have avoided paying $1 trillion in taxes. I mean, that is an insane amount, and it's because, again, their taxes are complicated, and the IRS doesn't have the resources to do the appropriate audits of these people.
So get a load of the incredible irony of that ProPublica story that came out. Now the Republicans are using it as an excuse to make sure that the IRS is further defunded. They're like, you see, somebody at the IRS apparently leaked, which by the way, they don't know that it's from the IRS, but apparently someone leaked that the rich are paying almost no taxes. That's an outrage. Why? Because the rich are paying no taxes and the rest of us have to pay taxes they're not paying? No, it's an outrage that you found out. Those are our beloved donors. How could you do this to them? That's it, we should defund the IRS even more, right? Guys, like, look, if you're a rational person, you know the Republican Party is all about greed. That's all it's about. If you got hooked by like, oh, I don't know, abortion or race, I don't know, I don't really love black people, etc. Okay, that's on you, but they're also picking your pocket. The other ProPublica story that Anna was referring to showed that people who get the earned income tax credit that make $20,000 a year, those are the working poor. You have to work to get that. They get audited, the $20,000 people a year get audited at a greater rate than people that make $400,000 a year. Why? Because the process for auditing those people is automated and requires less staff. The process for auditing wealthier people is manual. It requires people to go into there and do a forensic audit of their incredible wealth. So when you defund the IRS, the people who get away with things the most are the rich, but you're still getting audited. Okay, now one of the reasons to do this on top of equity and justice and having to fund the government overall is because when the Republicans scream, for example, how are you gonna pay for that? Or Anderson Cooper or other millionaire anchors scream that. In this case, the studies show that if you put in $40 billion into this, which is what they're planning right now in the compromise, that you will get in return $140 billion in revenue. So it actually adds money to the federal government, and because it's so many rich people that are cheating on their taxes.
Let's speak in the language that conservatives understand. It's a good return on your investment. It's a great return on your investment. The problem is conservatives don't want that kind of return on investment because it's money that goes toward funding government programs that help benefit Americans in general.
But I do want to split conservatives here because they're very different. Now, I don't have any love for non-rich conservatives because of all the different social issues that we really disagree on and cultural issues, right? But they don't want the rich robbing us either. This is rich Republicans that are robbing all of us. So understand, like you guys get mad about rhinos and stuff like that. You should support Trump in getting reinstated or whatever lunatic thing that he's up to these days, right? Why do you get pissed about the robbery? You're worried about crime. They're picking your pocket. They're making you pay taxes while the rich pay almost nothing. Okay, and that is done predominantly by the Republican Party. So get accountability on that. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.